Thanks for tuning in. This is just a little pet project. Myself, Nick Bailey, here with Avalanche Technical Services. I've got Scott Profit, the owner of Rubitracks. Uh, anyway, I thought this might be kind of a cool deal. Call it, maybe we'll call it Rubitracks After Dark. Who knows? But
Oh,
a little
man.
get together, a quick conversation where we could go over the product, the company, obviously your company, but I'm a pretty big believer and be able to give people some background on the product, what they do, and why they should buy some.
Cool. Yeah, you're one of our long-standing customers for sure. I think you might have been in year two when you got yours.
Yeah, because it's been, I guess we're getting ready here for the fourth season of
Yeah.
Ruby Track use. So yeah, I'm here in Lake Tahoe, Nevada. Scott and the Ruby Tracks world headquarters are on Prince Edward Island, east coast of Canada. So this is my forerunner right here that is sporting Ruby Tracks, and a buddy of mine, Dimitri, that owns Stellar Built, Sacramento, California. This is his Tacoma. So anyway, this first episode, I thought it would be kind of cool just to give a rough overview of the product. And then over the coming weeks here, as we get ready for fall and winter, maybe we'll drop some new and exciting news on where Ruby Tracks is headed. I know you've done a podcast, at least one, back when we had the Ruby Tracks Invitational. You gave some of the background on the company, but probably would be cool to just cover the conversion, the track conversion, and
Hmm.
someone who has a property that's off grid or that's a little bit inaccessible in the winter, how Ruby Tracks can help them.
Absolutely.
So your product covers a multitude of four-wheel drive vehicles, right? So they're
Absolutely. Yeah.
set up to bolt on uh, some vehicles stock and some close to stock, that need a little bit more clearance. But you have
Hmm.
a half ton and a heavier application track as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We have the Ruby Tracks, basically the Snow series, which is the 121 and the 136, and the soon to be unveiled Mountain system. And then we had the Ruby Tracks HD is intended for the 8 lug applications, the big diesel guys. So
Cool. Yeah. So I know when I got interested in Ruby Tracks, so I have my business out here is a project management, engineering and construction business. So I get involved with customers that are off grid that have tricky job sites, whether it's access or just the climate that presents challenges. My current biggest customers are in mining in the Sierra Nevada mountain region here. So we have little off-grid projects and properties that are up Forest Service roads where there's tons and tons of snow. Originally, I considered getting a snowcat, but after doing some research, I already had this rock crawler, which was super reliable, super capable. It just didn't quite have the ground pressure, for
yeah,
snow. So what drew me to you initially, I could have, for the price, I wouldn't have been able to get much of a snowcat. And this way, I was able to repurpose a rock crawler that was just kind of sitting around in the wintertime and make it a viable, over snow vehicle.
and that was kind of the whole premise behind the Snow system, right? Is there's so many people in that same situation that have their rock crawler Jeeps or their whatever Jeeps, right? Like they're weekend warriors. And when the snow comes, they got to put it away and, wait for the snow to melt again. So now, you get a chance to use that thing year round.
Yeah, you figure like just maintenance cost, right? A lot of times when a vehicle sits around and the fuel goes bad or whatever, that's
Yeah,
can be a pain in the ass. And if there's something that you already own, that you already maintain, it runs good and the battery's up to charge because it doesn't sit for half the year.
that's right. Yeah.
So yeah. And then when I did, research on the product, I think just right off the bat, looking at your tracks and some of the others that are out there, it's pretty clear in my mind, the care and the the effort that goes into producing these tracks. I mean, they, in my opinion, are far and above um, the highest quality snowmobile type track conversion that you can get, based on the belt being sourced kind of from the aftermarket snowmobile industry.
Mhm.
And then I'm really excited about the development that's happening now, uh, being able to give you some feedback with all of my experiences here and the big winners that we have in the Sierra Nevada, and taking a product that was kind of a general snow use product and then starting to grow in the direction of some pretty serious backcountry travel.
Yeah, absolutely. And the system that we're coming out with here that we'll talk about shortly, as you know, and not many other people do, you kind of pioneered this system and have been running it for us, what, the last 3 years, right?
Sure.
So now we're going to take the little tricks that we hit in your system and roll them out on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
Uh, I think it's going to be epic, especially up in your neck of the woods. I had no idea that snow existed like what you guys have up there, and that's a complete game changer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, it's we're blessed for sure to be based in this area, and it's a beautiful place to be. It's not too cold, but man, we sure do get a lot of snow. So yeah,
yeah,
it has been a great proving ground for a product like this, no doubt.
absolutely.
So as far as questions, like for a first-time Rubitracks owner, I've
Mhm.
had 2 or 3 clients now that have purchased your product, and I've been able to help them with install and
Right.
kind of the getting to know them. But seems like a pretty common question that I hear is, you buy something like this, and how long does it take to put it on, make the conversion? Your mind.
Yeah. So my experience with it is generally our customers will take like probably a full day the first time they install the tracks because they have to, got to figure it out and get their tools together and then put the brackets on that attach the anti-rotation chains.
Sure.
But as you know now, well, you don't really have to swap them a whole lot just in the spring and the fall because you trailer your rig. But like Kyle and Dwayne, those guys, they swap them every weekend, right?
Sure.
So they got it down. This is like a 45-minute job for those guys by themselves, right? If you had two guys, it's half an hour. It goes pretty quick once you get all the tricks figured out. So
Yeah,
it's
agreed. It's always it's always a question that I've heard. And the funny part is I have a couple ATVs with snow track conversions as well. And it's
yeah,
quicker for me to do the Forerunner from tires to tracks than it is to do either one of the ATVs. I have a third party Camzo system, uh,
yes,
as well as a factory Can-Am Apache system. And either way, I mean, mostly, with like the fasteners and the brackets, you get into some small hardware and
yeah,
in the A arms and their anti-rotation links are a little bit more complex. Obviously, with a smaller, lighter vehicle, you don't have so much native inertia in the track that they can tend to get a lot more wiggly and invert more often. So, yeah, the
yeah.
ATVs with those rigid links and everything, they can be a pain in the butt.
Yeah, no doubt. Like, and that's one thing that's different with us. And like, it might initially seem cheap that we put chains on there to limit their rotation, but on ATVs and almost every other track system on the market, they've got a sort of a resistance system there that as that track starts to go up, it tries to push it back down, right?
Sure,
And that keeps it within a window and like a range of motion that they consider acceptable for performance. But what we want is we want our track to conform to the terrain as much as possible and distribute the load evenly, right? So we don't want to resist that rotation until it gets to a point where it's going to cause damage to the vehicle. With the chains, that allows you to go the full range, providing your fenders will allow it, and distribute the weight of that vehicle over the entire footprint of the track.
sure.
So at the end of the day, I believe it's a better system. It just sometimes you might have to be a little bit more careful with it, but once you figure it out, it works great.
Sure. Yeah, and I guess the other end of that same argument is in a climbing situation where again, if you're not conforming to the surface, you're potentially burrowing in to a hillside
Exactly.
or whatever, right? And so
Yeah.
with less resistance and you're allowing that track to get pointed up and the angle of attack on the front track to work, I think that gives us kind of a nice little opener to a series, and I look forward to, like you said, dropping some news on a couple new products. Maybe
Absolutely.
even get some feedback, right? Some questions from the audience out there and anyone who's ever considered a track system like this. I figure this would be a great way to get answers out and some hands-on experience from a couple guys that have run these things literally all across the continent. So,
That's right.
yeah, so I appreciate you taking the time, and we'll throw this thing out there and come up with a few more episodes for folks.
Awesome. That's great. It's great to talk to you, Nick.
Yeah, right on. Thanks, Scott.
You bet.